So whether we like it or not, we all need some GP. Whether you're on the side of saving for a T-bow, or you're just on the side of not wanting to feel broke every time you open your bank, bossing is one of the best ways to make money in this game. And there's a lot of bosses that make money, a lot of them. But not all of them are worth your time equally. Some of them are really good, but they're gated behind ridiculous requirements. And for a lot of bosses, you're kind of just hoping for that big ticket item. But I'm going to talk about bosses that provide consistent GP hour after hour. Bosses you'll grind for a couple of hours, couple of days or weeks, and then you'll look at how much you farmed and be very pleased. So to begin with, it's only right to talk about Vorkath. This boss has been printing GP since 2018, and it still hasn't stopped to this day. You're going to need to complete Dragon Slayer 2 to get to him, but I wouldn't say that's the hardest requirement to get to. It will take some time, but it's definitely worth it. You're going to need some other requirements in magic, smithing, mining, crafting, and a few other things. And the quest is definitely a proper quest. But once you've completed it, you've unlocked Vorkath, one of the most consistent moneymakers in the game. The fight itself becomes way more straightforward after you've become accustomed and done it a few times. Vorkath cycles between attacks, some standard attacks, and then alternates between some special attacks. He spits out some acid from time to time. You obviously don't want to be standing in these, and he's gonna fire some rapid projectiles at you as well. These hit big, so you definitely want to make sure you avoid them, but you have a lot of time to dodge them. Then there's the zombified spawn, which freezes you in place, and then you're going to need to kill it with the crumble undead spell. I've died to these many times when I was first doing the boss, but once you get it, you'll wonder how you did die so much. You'll be praying magic or range depending on your setup. You're going to want to make sure you have some dragonfire protection, either a super anti-fire potion with protect from magic, or a regular anti-fire with an anti-dragon shield, and you just DPS him down. It would be wise to learn how to Wook's Walk, as over time this makes for faster kills, but it's not a necessity. Gear wise, you've got a few options. The budget route is a dragon crossbow. Stats basically cost nothing with ruby and diamond dragon bolts. Blessed Dragonhide or Elite Void works, and a Salve Amulet EI. This setup alone can get you maybe 20 to 25 kills an hour, and you're pulling somewhere around 2.5 to 3 mil per hour. And that's very good considering that you're not actually accounting for uniques. If you've got the money for it, the Dragon Hunter crossbow and Dragon Hunter lance are amazing. Obviously with the better gear you're gonna get more per hour, but definitely give it a go even if you've got the budget option. The only real downside I would say in my opinion is that it could get a bit boring after a while. There's no variety and every kill is literally the same cycle. But if you just want to log in, zone out for a bit and get a bit richer while doing so, then why not? Something that is a bit more fun in my opinion is Zulrah, aka the Money Snake. For this you're going to need the Regicide quest completed. It's the elf quest line, not the hardest thing in the world, but it's definitely a proper quest chain. Your recommended stats are 75 magic and 80 plus in ranged, and 70 plus in defense. Zulrah is definitely harder to learn than Vorkath. I don't think anyone would disagree with that. There's 4 rotations and you need to know where to stand and what to pray. And you're going to need to know what gear to switch to at what points. To begin with, and while you're getting used to it, you can use the Zulrah plugin. This really helps to know what's coming up next. It's definitely going to be a bit overwhelming at first, but once you've done it a bunch of times, the muscle memory will kick in. The fight normally involves switching between ranged and magic throughout the fight. Green form, you range, and the blue form, you mage. The melee form is the least scary out of all 3 of them in my opinion. A lot of the time it misses you, and when it's about to hit you, you just gotta move from one tile to another. The hardest part is probably the Jad phase. This is where it's going to be switching from mage to range, and you've kind of got to alternate the same way you do with Jad. Zulrah also spawns snakelings and venom clouds that you're going to need to avoid, or deal with depending on your setup. For the budget setup, an Iban's Blast or Trident of the Seas for magic, a magic shortbow or rune crossbow for ranged will work, mystic robes, and then for range blessed dragonhide. It's not the most sexy setup, but it works, so you'll maybe get 15 to 20 kills an hour, and you'll get around 2 mil an hour. Not the best, but definitely still pretty good. With proper gear like a Trident of the Swamp or Sangstaff or Armadillo, with any of that gear you can definitely push for 25 plus kills, and that can be 2 to 3 mil. The big ticket unique item are the Tanzanite Fang, the Magic Fang, and the Visage. Those are the uniques that you want. If you want to enter the Bond giveaway, be sure to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and comment down below your favourite money boss. To kill Duke Sucellus, you need to complete Desert Treasure 2. This quest is significantly harder than Dragon Slayer 2 or Regicide, but once you've got it done, Duke is one of the best GP per hour bosses that can make you some serious money. The fight has 2 parts. First you have to gather some ingredients like mushrooms and salts. Then you've got to brew them into a poison and wake Duke up with it. And thankfully they added a quality of life update where you don't lose your ingredients after every kill. Once he's awake, you're going to want to melee him with a step back rhythm to avoid his attacks. There's a gas vent mechanic where you need to run over to the other side of the room. And then the big gaze attack, which you definitely don't want to be standing in front of. Make sure you're behind the pillar when he's doing this or you're going to get one shot. The enraged phase cycles between attacks faster, so you need to stay on top of your movement. For the budget gear, you can use something like the Arclight or Emberlight. Because he's a demon, it works well. Bandos or Inquisitors if you've got it. You don't need any mega weapons for Duke at all. Even with mid-tier melee gear, the kills are very doable, but if you do have one, a Shadow is a beast here. The GP per hour is very good. The Mage's Visage for the ring, the Soul Reaper axe piece, obviously for the Soul Reaper axe, and the ingot are all big items. And even the regular loot table is pretty good. Once you get comfortable with the mechanics, Duke is probably somewhere around the 4 to 6 mil per hour, depending on your gear efficiency and the worst one of all, your RNG. For Phantom Muspah, you need the Secrets of the North quest completed. Thankfully, this is more of a mid-tier quest. Not as bad as DT2 or Dragon Slayer 2, but saying that, the suggested stats are 85 plus in range and in magic. Muspah has 2 combat forms and a shield phase. In the range form, it fires projectiles that you need to pray against and dodge spike attacks on the ground. The melee form is where it changes and you need to either freeze it and attack it from a distance, or the step back method to avoid getting smacked. The shield phase, it puts up a barrier and you need to break the spikes around to take the shield down. You can actually skip the shield phase entirely if your DPS is high enough and you push past the health threshold before it triggers. This is a nice bonus if you have the gear for it. For the budget route, you want a blowpipe with amethyst or dragon darts. Blessed Dragonhide works, and you don't need to bring a mage switch if you don't want to. You just need to learn the step back method during the melee phase to avoid damage. Kills will be slower, but it's still completely doable. If you're hybriding, a trident and crossbow with decent switches definitely speeds things up. For high end, you want something like a Boffa or Twisted Bow, and an Eye of Ayak or Sangstaff for the melee phase if you want to stay comfortable. The GP here is definitely carried by the Venator Shard. It's about a 1 in 50 drop, which is pretty reasonable. Ancient Essence and other regular drops, these keep the base rate at maybe 2 to 3 mil per hour, and the Shard bumps up the average over time. I thought to mention some wilderness bosses as it only felt right. No combat requirements for any of them, you just need decent combat stats and the willingness to risk a bit of gear in the wilderness. Calvarion the Vetion Variant is probably the easiest out of the 3. The boss can't actually damage you directly, and all the danger comes from stepping on lightning and dealing with Hellhound minions. RTO the Callisto variant requires a bit more attention. You need to prayer switch and freeze her in place to avoid the big melee hits. The magic orb attack will launch you into a wall for massive damage as well. Spindle is the Venenatis variant. It's mechanically similar but sits deeper in the wilderness. The web mechanic that drains your run energy is the main thing to watch out for. Getting caught in it with no energy left and then a PKer logging in is just a nightmare. The GP per hour across all 3 is pretty solid, somewhere around 2 to 3 mil depending on which one and your setup. The big money is in the Voidwaker pieces. The obvious downside is PKers, but if you're willing to take that risk, you can make some good money. Pick whichever one matches your account, or just try all of them to see which one you like the best, and the GP will flow. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoy OSRS, one of these videos on screen might interest you. I hope you're having a good day, and until the next one, peace.